the studio today, I have a great musician who started off a project in California, then ended up in a small town in Tennessee called Spring Hill. As luck would have it, a paint-bearded bassist would contact him and offer to lay down some tracks for him. After that, the project fired up again. Here's a sneak peek of their music video. Now, before we get too far into it, my name is Tim, and this is Discovering the Scene. Heck yeah, like and subscribe. I work hard to bring you the best rock and metal bands that write lyrics darker than my Google search history. Hello? Can someone please turn on the lights? It's really dark in here. And that's enough about me. Let's go discover these great artists. And here we are again in the interview room. We are interviewing a very special guest, Applehead. How goes it, guys?
Adventure waits you. Adventure.
Good deal. So, where are you guys from?
Well, Spring Hill, Tennessee. Originally
Spring Hill, Tennessee.
By way of Central California. Yeah.
Okay.
He's one of those.
One of those transplants.
He's a transplant. Well, so am I. But I mean, I live here, but I'm from Chicago, so.
Well, just kind of school you on Southernisms. Anybody that's outside of the Southern area is considered a Yankee coming in. So
of course.
Yeah.
Whether it's North or West, you're Yankees.
No question.
Good deal. Well, regardless, we're here. We're going to have a good time. Yankee or not, right?
That's right.
Good deal. So that's a very interesting name, Applehead. Can you tell me how you came up with that?
Well,
that's him.
Yeah, that goes back to the first.
That's you.
In 1992, while I was in a band called The Crucified, I did a solo record, and I had to have a name for it. And Applehead popped up. I don't give away where it came from. It's a secret, but that was the name. That was what I went with it.
I'm thinking it was while you were in The Crucified. It was, you had like something going on with Guitar World magazine.
Yeah. That actually,
the centerfold.
It's funny because it actually, let me see.
It's on the shelf over there.
Yeah. I'll tell this whole story because it's a really cool story. So the only thing that sucked was the issue actually came out after the band had broken up. I don't remember how long it was between the time they interviewed me and the time it came out. But so the whole reason I started playing guitar was because as a kid, since I was 7 years old, I was a huge Kiss fan, and Ace was the whole reason I started playing. So when I was going to be in Guitar World, I didn't know who else was going to be in the issue until I got it in the mail. And if you can see on the front, there's Ace, and then Dimebag Darrell, and I think that's Snake. Is that Snake from Skid Row? But it was pretty cool. They called me. We were on tour, and they called me up, some hotel we're at, and wanted to do a story on the band. And so they interviewed me, and it was kind of funny that the whole interview was more about being in a Christian thrash band than about playing guitar. The guy, he interviewed me the whole time, and then at the end of the interview, he said, "Give me a quick rundown of the gear you use." So I told him, what I had for guitars and my amp and this and that. And then it didn't even print. Wasn't even part of the story. The whole thing was just about being in the band. But when I got the magazine, it was pretty cool because first thing I opened it up. If you can see, it's kind of glary, but at the top you got Ace, then you got Aerosmith, then Zakk Wylde, then me right down there on the contents page.
That's really cool.
And then they
Heck yeah.
did, where's that? See, where's it at?
Dig.
I just got to show you the spread because it's pretty cool. Because I thought it was going to be, just kind of a small article, and then I ended up getting this whole spread in the magazine.
Wow.
They also interviewed a couple other bands, but the majority of the interview, I mean, this thing's, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like 6 pages long, and
Wow.
that was the main feature in it. So that was pretty cool. I just wish it would have come out while the band was still together.
Yeah, I understand the issue there for sure, but that's still notoriety. Like, no, get out.
Yeah, it's
Congratulations.
Pretty cool.
Yeah. Who could say they have their own ad or info in Guitar World magazine? Yeah. That's big deal.
I keep the copy here, and every once in a while, someone comes over to the house or something and start talking about, well, what'd you do in the old days and stuff. I'll pull things out and pull that out. And you're like, oh, wow.
Heck yeah, cool. Man. Loving it. And you mentioned your gear. Let's go ahead and put it out there. What gear are you running now?
Most of my gear is gone now, but where's that? I still have those 2 Marshall heads and those old cabinets and a variety of guitars. Those guitars back there, the Fenders and the SG and stuff, I don't play those with Applehead. The ones I play are over there. Got an old Les Paul Custom there, and then another Telecaster. But I play those Charvel San Dimas's for the band.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I think I see Boss pedals over there on the ground.
Yeah, I still have old school setup. The stomp boxes.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yep, I just like that, and I've had it. I played in cover bands for decades as a living for a long time, and I played all the Line 6 stuff when it very first came out, the first Flextone ones. I had a couple heads and cabinets and this and that, and I still have, I think, 3 floorboards in the attic, but that stuff was really cool when it came out, just because of the the variety of sounds and stuff, everything you could do with one amp. Then it, after time became obsolete, and it was funny because it was never really roadworthy. I mean, the stuff would break down on me quite a bit and go haywire and everything. But outside of that, just stuck with the old school Marshall heads, and yeah.
Yeah, there's no replacement, in my opinion, for just the old school stomp boxes and tube amps.
Yeah,
that's just my deal, because digital will break down time and time again. I've had it happen several times. I prefer simple. I'm a simple person. I'm simple-minded, damn it.
Yeah. Well, and my thing too is gear looks cool. So
it does.
I don't like stages where there are no amps and stuff. And a lot of even the
it's hideous.
Arena acts and stuff, they have these bare stages. I like seeing Marshall stacks and cabinets and heads and stuff.
And they don't even have to be real. They can just be dummy cabs.
Like the Yngwie setup.
Yeah.
Woo.
Yep. Yeah. And 3 heads high on top of each, 3-4 heads high on top of each stack.
Yeah, and there's a little amp about this big behind it all with a microphone in front of it.
Yeah, pig nose.
Yeah. Pig nose, yep. Or the little gorilla, orange amp. Or the little gorilla amp, too. Either way, if you want to go back there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, that's good stuff. Heck yeah. I love it. Yeah, I have Boss pedals. Mine is a Dunlop wah pedal.
Mm-hmm.
I run everything through a Carvin amp head. It's an old amp head. It's like a vintage one. It's the S100B or something like that. I forget exactly the model.
With the graphic EQ
I use
on
Master Tube Series. Yes,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
You know exactly what I'm talking about.
Back in the Cruise Fight, I played Carvin guitars, and
Oh, okay, cool.
I never had any of their amps, but had a few of their guitars. Loved their guitars. Loved them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah, I see the guitars that they're building now, and I'm just like, I would like to try one, but it's so hard to try something if you can't put your hands on it, you
Yeah.
know?
I didn't even know they were still around.
Yep.
I thought
They're called Kiesel.
Kiesel.
Oh, okay. Okay.
They did away with the Carvin name and they pulled it back to the family name, which was Kiesel.
Okay.
Gotcha.
All right. Well, then that makes sense.
Welcome to NAMM Show in the last 5 years. Yeah.
Yeah, I haven't been in so long. I really like to get some tickets to go back. But yeah, right now, who knows? It's not in the cards.
It's all good.
Moving on to you, Pink Man. Let's talk about that elephant in the room, that beard.
Well, it's the calling card.
Yes, sir.
And trust me, there has been many days of ridicule over why did you do this? Well, it's very simple. You can't miss it.
Nope.
And, when you get, I hear the stories about, okay, well, who's, you look like Dimebag. Well, yeah, great, except I play bass and he's passed away. Great, thank you so much. Besides that, there was another guy, he's still playing, Brian Beller is his name, and he did something like this once, and I got 10 or 15 different tags on his socials about, did I trademark this? Because he's not supposed to do that and all this kind of stuff. It's a thing because it's just who I am. And it has nothing to do with any of the weirdness or the goofiness. It's a calling card.
It is a calling card for sure.
And all the bases match. So, he's got, Greg has his secret stash. I have bases lined up on both sides of me that you can't see you can see a couple of them sitting back here, just, headstocks. But, the majority of the ones that you'll see me play live, if you come see Applehead, you'll see me play pink ones. That simple.
Show us the pink one.
I got jokes. Okay.
We have jokes.
I got jokes. Yeah. Okay. So let's do something really
easy.
Nice.
This is a family show. No,
oh my goodness, it's a family show. Okay, so this may not translate well, but this is actually neon pink. This is my fretless. This is completely neon, top to bottom. Okay.
Very nice.
Actually, we're working on a new album, and this is actually on one of the tracks as a fretless track. I don't play this one out a whole lot these days, but I have.
What kind of pickups are on those?
So this is a custom instrument. The company is called JD. They are made in Birmingham, UK, by a family that is carrying on the legacy of the originator. His name's John Diggins. And his two sons and grandson are doing a bang-up job making them still. They're high-quality, handcrafted, literally handcrafted instruments. And so, for what I do, they're perfect. And I use them for very specific things.
Well, every guitar that I have is meant for a very specific reason, Yep. They're tools.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep. One of these, the one I haven't shown.
Do you have the Attitude sitting there?
I do. I have the Attitude. So the Attitude bass is the Billy Sheehan Yamaha. Looks like this.
Very beautiful.
Yep. So it was custom painted by a guy in Ohio who goes by Robo Swirls. It was actually done in ink, not in paint. So it will not fade. This is how Steve Vai's guitars were done back in the day. They were done with ink and not paint.
Very nice.
So for now, when you listen to the Light Side of the Applehead record, plus the No More Words single, this is the bass that you hear on all of that.
Very cool.
When the new one comes out, we'll talk about other basses. But this one is the one this is pretty much my number one go-to for just about everything because it's literally indestructible.
There you go.
I've had it in Alaska 4 times. The neck doesn't even move a millimeter going from Tennessee to Alaska.
That's very good.
In the dead of winter. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep. So, hence the story with the pink beard and the pink basses to boot.
You said you've been going on with this band since 1992.
Well, yeah, it never was a band. It was a solo record that I did everything on it. I had a few buddies come in and do little guest spots on it, but it never became a band. The most I did with it is um, open up for myself with the Crucified on a number of shows, and the people who would play with me would usually be the drummer and the bass player from the Crucified, and then a random guitar player, like might be whoever was on the bill with us in an opening band. I'd hit them up ahead of time and say, hey, you want to jam a few Applehead songs before the Crucified set. So did that a number of times, but it never was a band. And I guess that leads into how it's become a band. It's still not a band. I mean, we have a live band, but it's basically me and Jamie. And the way Jamie came along was this is the original 1992 album, and it was being re-released in 2022 by Rox Records. And so I had made a post on Facebook, something about that, and one of the comments was this pink bearded dude that held up it just was a picture of his hand holding up the original 1992 CD.
I have it.
And yeah, he's got it. And he just said, hey, if you ever want to jam any of those old songs, let me know. I play bass. So I'm like, who the hell is this guy? So I stalked his page and stuff, looked at his YouTube.
He went full stalker.
Yeah. I'm like, man, this guy's really good, So I sent him a message, and we figured out right away we both live in Spring Hill, which is a small town in Tennessee.
Right.
We live 5 miles away from each other, maybe.
Yeah, 5 minutes literally.
Yeah. I had already this record. I was about 85-90% finished with. Just doing it as another full solo album. There was no one else was on it except for me. And I told him, hey, I'm working on a new album. He's all, well, if you want me to play a song on it, let me know. So a couple days later, he's over here, played him. I showed him one of the songs, showed him how it went. He laid it down. I said, hey, while you're here, you want to do another? So he did a second song. After that, I'm like, hey, you want to come back tomorrow and do a couple more? And we just kept doing that until he replaced all the bass tracks that I had recorded. So that's where it started. Is
Yep.
I deleted all my bass tracks and replaced them with his, and which was cool because the songs took they're the same songs, but they're
Right.
they're quite a bit different. And as a matter of fact, this album, the first pressing is sold out, but the record label is doing a second pressing with a different cover, different inside, yada, yada, yada. And on the CD, at least, it's going to include all the demo tracks, we'll call them, which are the original versions of the song with me on bass. So for
Very nice.
collectors that like to buy, albums more than once, they'll get the new CD with all the tracks before Jamie had replaced the bass tracks. And so it'd be cool to hear the difference of where, how the songs changed up and stuff. So unfortunately on the vinyl re-release, there's no room for those extra tracks. So it won't be on there, but on the CD,
Right.
we got room. So pretty much the whole record, with the exception of one song in the demo versions, will fit on the CD.
And you said record label. What's your what's your label's title?
Rox. R-O-X.
ROXX Records.
Rox Records.
Yep.
And
Rox
yeah, they
Records.
Out of
release
LA.
they release a lot of old stuff, re-release a lot of old stuff. They'll get it and remaster it, and that's how they ended up with this. They asked me about putting it out again, and I said, well, sure, I'm down for that. So and then with the bands that they re-release stuff, some of them, if they're doing new music, they'll put that out too.
Good deal.
Yeah,
And
it's cool.
any chance of taking this right here to be a full band?
It's a plan. We're
Yeah,
already playing live dates.
we play live. So we have a live band. We have a drummer and another guitar player. Um,
Okay.
as far as the recording, though, it's all done right here in this room. So uh, these days, without record labels that put up a bunch of money to record albums and stuff, um, you can do it at home by yourself.
Absolutely.
So
Mhm.
that being
Save some
said,
money.
yeah, it's just easier to keep it in house, and the as we record songs, they aren't. It's not like when you have a band and you get together and you write these songs together and you rehearse them a ton of times and you know how they're going. Then you might go into like in the old days you would go into pre-production and you'd change arrangements, this and that. Um, the songs are being written as they're being recorded, so um, you know
Oh yeah.
you start with a general template, and then I may cut sections or add sections or come up with different parts or change things up through the process. So that just it gives more freedom than working with a whole band, honestly. And I like it because you're also not dealing with 4 or 5 separate personalities where you're trying to
Yeah.
please everyone, and you got one guy that really hates something, and you're trying to convince him that it's a really good idea. And
Yeah.
it's a lot easier to get things done without so many hands in the pot.
I agree. I've
Mhm.
I've been on both sides of it. I kind of like doing my own recordings because myself, when I do record, I can actually do what I want, like you said, no problem. But I find too that I'm a little slower to write or
Hmm.
record if I'm doing it by myself because I don't have the energy of the rest of the band involved. And I find that I'm more of an arranger, and I can write on the fly if I hear something else that somebody else is writing with me, and I'm like, yeah, it's cool, let's get into that right here. I have a buddy of mine, his name is Paul. He recorded on the Forgotten Fable album with me, and we really did a lot of writing like that. Like I would hear something he would do, I'm like, all right, let's put this together like this, and everybody had a great time writing that way. It was real good for that band. But every band has their own dynamic for sure.
Yeah.
Yes, they do. We have a lot of fun actually because, so as Greg said earlier, the light side of the apple, when I came into it, he had already had all the song structures and everything was pretty much recorded.
Hmm.
Whereas now, as we continue forward, the new album that we're working on is actually more of a collaboration between the two of us, between
Hmm.
parts and lyrics and how it all goes together. So I've thrown some goofy things at him, and he'll tell you, because we're sitting there and he'll say, well, make that crazy or make that goofier, and I'll play something, he'll be like, not that goofy, come on, man. you know
Yeah.
so it's writing style, but it's also what you bring to the table musically. We come from a similar background, but we also come from two radically different backgrounds.
Yeah.
So all of that plays in the writing process. All your influences, all your things, what you had for breakfast that morning, and what else you heard on the way to where you were going, all plays in. You know.
Yeah, and just like you said, for the goofy writing style, like be careful what you ask for, right? You got the
That's
the
right.
right guy to give it to you.
Well, there's one song in particular. We've
Go
co-written
ahead.
a few songs, and they stemmed from ideas that Jamie already had on bass. So he brought him in. We're sitting there tinkering around with him, and I'm listening to what he's playing, and I'm coming up with something for him, and then we'll be like, well, what do we want to put here, and let's really throw people for a loop and do something different. So the one that Jamie specifically was kind of referring to, he did some weird shit, and I forget what it even was,
Oh,
but
I can tell you, but
because I
go
was
on.
like, give me something really out there and really different stylistically from what we're playing in this song right now. And it was like way left field, and like you said, I'm like, yeah, not that far out there. So then he ended up throwing in, he started playing this jazz riff. And I'm like, that right there is sweet. Let's do that. So we ended up with this jazz intro, and then threw it in like after the first, or going into the first chorus as well. So very, very different. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, for people who kind of take the idea that, you know, you're writing a song, or you're writing an album, or you're doing whatever, and they all kind of sound the same as you go through, we agreed that no rules, all bets are off. So standard, kind of sort of standard song structure for a reasonable portion of them. But when it comes to what we're actually playing, people are going to be like, where did that come from? What is he doing? Are you nuts? Because we're not following we're not following standard traditional kind of rock metal flow. I mean, you'll pick some of it out immediately because it's obvious, but there's certain things that you go, oh, I didn't expect that. Well, surprise, there's no rules.
There you go. That's good. I like bands that don't follow the normal algorithm for sure, because, you know, the same old all the time. Then you start becoming into like unfortunately, what the music industry has just watered down and put on the radio.
Right.
And there's so much more that can be, you know, enjoyed if they just break out of the box. It's just like, why do we have to be in that little box of, this is a commercial, this is what we want, this is what we want you to hear? I don't like that kind of control. I like openness. That's why I started this. There's so much out there. There's so many great bands out there that are not getting the attention they deserve, and that's why I push them on this platform.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
How do you guys actually do your stage performances? Is there anything new that you guys do, or is it just like a standard show? Kind of walk me through the that process.
Well, how many times have we played? 5, 6, 5?
Since the record came out, yeah, we've played a few times, but we're not like hardcore about it just yet.
Yeah, we haven't. So we have a lot of ideas, but it's been a slow process for us, because for every show we've done so far, we've had like hired drummers, because in Nashville, believe it or not, it's really hard to find drummers, especially that want to play in original rock metal type bands. You know, they just typically want to play covers and you know,
wherever the quick money is.
Yeah, they're happy to do that. So it's been a struggle for us.
Doesn't take away from their.
Yeah. We do have a drummer now that has joined the band. So it'll finally allow us to get moving with it. And it won't be this thing where, okay, well, we're offered a show on this date at this place. Well, all right, let's start calling and see if we can find a drummer that's available, that's not playing a shift on Broadway that night, you know, that wants to do it. And he's going to have to give us 1 or 2 rehearsals before and this and that, you know. So the shows we've done so far have just been a typical regular show where we've gone out and played the music. But we do have a lot of ideas that we want to eventually, you know, bring forth. Like if you see the Apple dude right there, we named him Henry, and he's kind of like our band mascot. So there's a lot of things we want to do with him, bring him to the stage. You know, it's always cool when a band has a mascot. And him,
not quite Iron Maiden, Maiden, because there's somebody walking around going, "Look, I'm here," but at the same time, you know, because it's been done. But there's ways to kind of have some fun. We have some other stuff that we've talked about that we're not going to talk about here, but it can be absolutely hysterically funny and enjoyable, because the idea of playing a live show, and this is just, you know, the way I think of it. When you go to see a live show, what are you looking for? You're looking for the music, you're looking for the musicians, but you want to check out for a few minutes because the musician's going to take you somewhere.
Yeah.
And so what do they do in the process? Are they just standing there looking at their shoes playing guitar? Or are they or are they doing something? And I'm of the mindset, of course, it's all about entertainment, and that means crowd interaction. That means spend time with people. Even if you're standing up here doing this, you're spending time with people, and I think it's important to be a part of a memory for a person that they remember well and they enjoyed it.
Yes. Yeah. Like the live show, you got to think anytime you step into a venue, you're at the mercy of the sound guy and the sound equipment.
Yep.
And sometimes you'll go into a venue, you can hear everything perfectly. It's not overly loud, but then you got those sound guys that really don't know their craft as well as they should. And it's just like mid-rangey or bassy, and you can't really understand what the singer's saying from the stage. So with those dynamics in mind, it's always best to put on the best show as possible, because pretend for a second a deaf person was to walk in. Well, how are you going to let them enjoy the show?
Right.
You
Because
gotta
if it's
you
their
gotta
first
shock
time
them with
seeing
some.
you,
Yeah.
if it's their first time seeing you, you want them to leave with the impression that they got something from it, and a lot of times that just means, that they're participating. Even if they don't know the songs, they're participating. And, I get a kick out of that because I like to run wireless, and Greg knows this. And depending on the room, depending on the stage, I will come off the stage and I'll end up playing in the front row. And we did this one show around here, and there was people actually just kind of dancing in the middle of the stage, or on the floor in front of the stage. So I hop down and I'm dancing with them while I'm playing the song. It's the little things,
Yeah.
because we're celebrating something, we're having a good time, we're playing music, we're doing all this stuff, and they're being entertained. They might be sipping a drink or eating something or whatever, but they're participating actively, and that's the whole thing. We're part of something.
I guess while you're over there rocking out and people over there eating, just stick your beard in their mashed potatoes or something.
Well, or just run it across the top of their head. Oh, look, you've been pinked. That's right.
That's it, man. I
Yeah,
love it.
yeah, yeah.
They'll remember you that way. Yeah, that son of a.
That's right. That strange pink bearded bald knucklehead up there did this. Okay. You remember it.
An added bonus if you smell like Jaeger sweat.
Well, no, that's up to. Well, for me, it'd be curry, but that's a different discussion.
Okay, good deal. So, other parts of this, I like to highlight challenges that you guys may have had on the way up to where you're at now, just to kind of like show that there is, it's not all fame and glory. There's a lot of work behind the scenes. So, what's some of the biggest challenges that you guys have faced, not only together, but individually? So, I guess together, what would you say the best or the worst challenges have been for you?
The drummer situation.
I understand.
Because we've had a couple different people, and they're great players.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that people outside of Nashville probably don't really think about a whole lot is when somebody's playing on Broadway or someone is sitting in with multiple bands, because they're trying to do that for their living or what have you. They're not locked in to the idiosyncrasies or the little minutia of a song. So they're just kind of happily going along and playing the song, but they're not actually playing the song.
Okay.
And to Greg's point, Robbo, who's hanging out with us now, Robbo learns the song and then adds in his little flavors to it.
Mm-hmm.
But the key to it is the song structure. And for the first year that the record was released for Lightside, we had that challenge because lots of people can play, although I must say there were only a handful who said they'd be willing to double kick. I'll tell you, we'll probably talk more about that later, but for the ones who did, they did it well. At the same time, they weren't really playing the songs. And, so we kind of had to work through that. And then it's like, well, okay, do we book a show? Do we try to get something going, knowing that A, B, or C person is not playing the songs? And what we found was there were people who've listened to the record who really like it, who were there for every show, would come up to Greg or me and say, it was really good, but that dude wasn't playing the songs.
Yeah, they catch the gist and usually know when to start and stop. But it's the groove isn't there, and
Yeah, you got to be in
I'd
that pocket.
watch, video
Yep.
footage after the show, and I'd tell Jamie, I can't do this anymore because it's not, it just doesn't present the songs the way the songs are. It ends up sounding like a cover band. No matter how good the members of that cover band are, just doing a crappy job of presenting the song.
Understood.
It. I mean, you're a musician. So and when recording this stuff, it's like I take painstakingly long, amounts of time and stuff to plan out rhythm section and stuff. And when I'm up there trying to play guitar, trying to sing, and trying to hold everything, together, and then I got a drummer behind me that's playing the wrong beat, the wrong kick pattern, and it doesn't feel like, the song. It just makes it way harder on me. And I'm used to all the years of cover bands. I'm used to turning it off and just going on autopilot and getting through stuff, and putting on the smile and having the best time. I mean, I'm always going to have a good time, no matter how shitty it could be behind me. And it's never been shitty. I mean, it was like Jamie was saying, great drummers and everything. But there's a difference that the guy we have now, Rob, he plays in a cover band with me, and he's probably the first cover band drummer I've ever played with that actually learns the songs. Like, he learns the fills, he learns the beats and everything. So, when I sit there and play guitar and sing with them, I'm like, okay, the foundation feels like the foundation. Now I'm not getting distracted by the dude behind me who's not playing the song correctly. So the very first time he came in and jammed with Jamie and I, that was the first time I was like, wow, these songs actually feel like the songs now. Now I can concentrate on myself and not worrying about, what's going on with the drummer. So that's been a real treat. Yeah.
Great. Well, at least that challenge has been met and solved.
Yes. Yes.
I haven't taken him out for curry yet, though. We'll see.
So there's food here, and I'm a rotund fellow, so let's talk about it. So what's the story with the curry?
Okay, so I have a
addiction.
Greg, you're gonna. Okay, well, there's that. I grew up next to a family from India and a family that were Korean.
Okay.
And so I grew up eating spicy stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And it's to a point to where it's like, if it's not there, it just doesn't taste right, or I'm gonna ask questions about it. And so I've ramped up the curry spice level beyond what many people will consider acceptable, shall we say. Normally, people, when you go into a place and they're telling them what you want and all that stuff, they spice level 1 to 5. Mm-hmm. Routine, right? 1 to 5, maybe sometimes 1 to 10, depending if you're in a Thai place or a Vietnamese place or whatever. Well, I've got a place that's local to us that makes it 40 times hotter than anything, and it's Indian spice level, meaning native to the country, times 40.
Now, that's
so
a good one.
It definitely sets your hair on fire. And if you're not ready for it, it's quite a surprise.
That's the true reason why that beard's pink, man.
That's right. I don't have to do anything. It starts falling into place now,
and why he has no hair on the top of his head too.
That's why it's all been burned off.
Burnt it off.
Yeah, he's not.
I'm
going to just pipe in. He's not exaggerating about that, because I like. I prefer Mexican food, and I like it very spicy. And so, like you're saying, at the Indian restaurant, the menu has spice levels 1 through 5, 5 being Indian hot, and 5 is like hot to me, hot to where I can get halfway through my meal and then I just can't drink any more water. And every bite, there's no more flavor. It's just hot,
Pain.
and
Pain.
he'll order it times 30 or times 40. And if the servers don't really know him, they'll have to bring the Indian chef out to come talk to him. Usually they'll know him, and they'll be like, oh yeah, and
You're that guy.
there might have to be an interpreter there, for him to say what he wants, and they just look at him like, are you serious?
Are you sure?
And he'll sit there and eat the whole dang thing.
Yeah, one drop of it hits the floor, it sets the whole place on fire.
I had about a half a spoonful of his once, and I was like,
I got cussed.
That's it for me. I'm out.
You got cussed for him trying your food?
Pretty much.
That'll learn him.
Well, I did a podcast with a guy from Georgia some couple months back, and he's like, he's assuring me rather that he eats spicy, he eats Reaper peppers and all this kind of stuff, and I'm like, that's great. So we get in there, and he set it up. I set up the restaurant because it's home spot for me, and he's like, make mine just like yours. Okay. So he sets the camera up, puts all the lights and everything up. And we get to talking, and they bring out the bowls, and they took such good care of us. And he got 4 bites in. And he's like, oh. I'm like, well, I told you. I'm just, and he's like, my friends are going to give me such crap for this because they know what I eat. I'm like, well, guess what? This is a different kind of spicy. And then, we'd have to have a whole cooking show podcast on what makes this spicy versus Mexican versus Thai versus Pakistani, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
But it's all spices. The peppers are kind of a secondary.
Yeah.
And we can go on from there. Because, I can dig deep down this. I'm not a foodie. Trust me.
But you love the spice. I'm not a foodie.
I just know what I like. And if someone, and Greg knows this too, on some of the places where we've gone and they don't necessarily know me, I have a picture in my phone. I say, I need this. And then they go,
Love it.
Yeah. So routine.
I used to grow ghost peppers when I lived up in Nashville.
Sure.
And Fable, the guys, I let them try a green one at first, and those were hot, right? Me, I tried it. I was like, I can't do it, but I just enjoy like torturing these guys anyway. If they're dumb enough to eat it, I'm dumb enough to watch it.
That's right. That's right.
But the drummer that we had, he would just try it, and like he would just do it just to get just to have fun, right? And like you can just see him, he was like, he knew he made a mistake when like he bit the red one. And my buddy Paul, which I mentioned earlier, he's his last name's Garcia, so that right there should tell you enough, right?
Yep.
Traditional. And he was just over here eating it. He was like, that's hot. But, the other guy, he was sweating and he was crying. I was like, you got to be all right? Do we need to get you a doctor or something?
There's a little trick that I've learned. So in your travels as you go forward, there's a little trick I learned. And I didn't believe it at first, so I had to try it. If you get something super spicy and it kicks your butt and your mouth is literally, you can't feel your mouth anymore, get a packet of sugar and just eat it.
Sugar is a good one.
Because the chemical reaction will neutralize all of that pepper oil acid and it'll stop. Now, I can't speak to your guts on that one, but for up here, that's at least, it'll cool everything off up here where later you'll sing Johnny Cash doing Ring of Fire. That's up to you.
Yeah, the other Ring of Fire happens later, right?
Right. That's down. That's a couple hours down the road, but now we got this covered at least.
You're not allowed to do that at my house because you're going to set the curtains on fire, man.
That's right. Why is the bathroom charred? I don't know.
I got to repaint again.
That's right. The porcelain is burnt. Yes.
That's right. Heck yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I love spicy stuff, but I don't know if I enjoy it on your level. I'll admit I'm a little bit of a wuss when it comes to that hot.
It's all good. Well, to me, it's got to have flavor. So if the cook knows what they're doing, and again, not to belabor this, if the cook knows what they're doing, the flavor level gets set here. Here's the spice. Mm-hmm. If they do this, then they need to do this.
Yeah.
So they match, because if it's off, if the flavor is greater than the spice, fine. But if the spice is just it's like eating Nashville hot chicken. When you get into the higher levels, all you taste is cayenne. You don't taste chicken anymore.
Right.
And all it does is roast your gut for 3 days, and you're sitting there going, I can't imagine why I feel like this. Well, there's no flavor anymore. It's just, hi, I'm eating a cayenne pepper. What chicken?
Right. Right.
I
Yeah.
mean, I've tried them. I've had them. So it's like, I'm not into this. I'm not into spice for the sadistic thing of, oh, let's see if I can kill myself. It's flavor, you know.
Gotcha.
I only have a couple of friends who can tackle what I do, and one of them, and this is going to date us for a second, but if you think back to the Airplane movie, and he's in there and he's flying the plane, and it looks like he's pouring rain, sweat. I've got a dude like that, a friend of mine, another bass player friend, and I took him to this place. He carries around his own little 6-pack of hot sauces with him. He's that guy.
Gotcha.
No kidding. And so I hooked him up one day, and we sat there, and I'm like, go. And like 4 bites in, out comes Airplane. And I said, are you going to be all right? He goes, dude, he said, if I thought you weren't going to kill me, I wouldn't have come for this.
There you go.
Oh, okay. Well, there you have it.
Well, at least you have somebody you can hang out with, you know?
Oh, yeah. I've got a few, but most of them will take they'll take Greg's idea and go, yeah, maybe a 3, maybe a 4. And then they'll taste mine, and then they start cussing. So it is what it is. But I can go to India and I can eat anywhere.
There you go.
That's all there is to it.
Now, like what you said is right, though. Like, for example, habanero peppers are hotter than hell, but I don't like the flavor of those. I prefer the flavor of the ghost pepper because I've dried both and I've powdered both, and just the smoky flavor of the ghost pepper. It's just the flavor doesn't match anything else. It's just its own thing. You don't have to do anything special to it either. It is a more of a roasted type flavor. I can't really explain it, but it's got its own thing.
I got you. I have a scorpion mustard dill pepper sauce in the fridge right now.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's for scrambled eggs.
Perfect.
Works every time.
I bet. Heck yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll get on down the road with the band stuff. So another challenge that happens here is the fact that you guys, you've been around for a while, so you know that it's hard to get bands heard. So have you found any other way other than the beard to like kind of promote yourself?
So there's a couple ways to go about it, and there's a tried and true method that has been around since the dawn of time for the way people do things, and that's basically you buy your way in. And we don't want to do that. We would prefer, and we are doing more of a grassroots, if you will, approach, because organic growth of followers and fans and friends means way more than just having, 10 million streams on Spotify, and you go and play a show somewhere because suddenly somebody says, oh, you've got 10 million hits on Spotify, and you have 3 people show up for the show.
So when you're saying paying for that kind of stuff, are you talking about pay to play gigs, or are you talking about something else?
Both.
Okay.
The pay to play gigs are something that honestly, if somebody, I had a conversation with a friend the other day and we were talking about it, and that's started basically in LA. So, I mean, LA kind of came up with that in the circuit there. It's kind of trickled its way here to a point in certain venues. But even if you want to push a song and you want it to be on Octane, let's say, or you want to be on Sirius XM radio, there are people that you can pay to push the song for you to get it there. And then from what happens from there is anybody's guess, because do people like it? Do they want to hear it? Do they request it? So you take a gamble by spending a large amount of money to put something forward with no guarantees of any kind of return, whether it be a financial return or a listening return.
I mean, you got to curate what goes on to, the air, because, some bands are not ready for that yet. I'm not saying that they suck. I'm just saying they're just not ready for it,
Sure, yeah.
So it's like, with that in mind, I can understand why you have to curate that kind of stuff. But if somebody's a good band, and it's not just your own opinion, you got the following and all that right there, then, there should be an avenue for that that's not as cost-worthy, or costly, I will say.
Sure.
But, yeah, I mean, I think that's the biggest problem a lot. You know, bands get to a certain point and they don't know where else to go because they're playing their brains out, you know, on live shows. And I mean, you guys know it as well as I do. The old days of going to a show, playing, and then getting discovered is long gone.
Hmm.
And, you know, especially if you're playing around midnight, the record rep is at home in his bed, you know, with his wife and his, you know, $1 million
Somebody else's
home
life.
or whatever. So this is like, that's the
Yeah,
way it is.
yeah, yeah. And it's not the same because a record person, the one you described there, doesn't really even exist anymore
No, they don't.
because everything, and I think Rick Beato had something a week or two ago talking about the head of one of the labels in the UK.
I saw that. I
Remember
saw
that?
that. Yes.
And it wasn't a
Yes.
very long clip, but what he was
No.
saying is, if he spelled it out. Basically, if you have done all your socials, if you have done all the distribution and all the stuff yourself, then we will sign you. Well, what do you get for
What's,
that?
yeah. What are you
What's in it
getting?
for me? Use a corporate term. What's in it for me? Because they take your publishing, potentially, they take your image, and what do you get for it?
Right.
Nothing.
Yeah.
So what's the point? Unless you have a machine behind you that has unlimited pocket resources,
Hmm.
unless it's the deepest pockets you could ever find. It's a real challenge. So
I do
you
think
do what you
labels,
can.
yeah, I do think labels actually have some benefit, you know,
Mhm.
and maybe later I'll be able to like sit down with somebody that's actually an owner of a label and talk to them about that. It's
Mhm.
definitely something I have hopefully going on down the road. But I mean, with my ignorance of that side of the business, you know, I'm sure there is something that they'll do for you and for the bands. Now, if it's advertising or getting you on like overseas or whatever it may be, maybe they have some ends that you definitely don't have, but also you can get a management company that'll book your gigs and stuff like that, as you guys know. That right there works out, but who knows? I mean,
Well, they don't even do that anymore for the most
no,
part.
Well, it depends.
basically,
It depends on the genre you're in, really,
sure.
because there's um, just thinking off the top of my head, I have a friend um, that is in music professionally, won Grammys and stuff like that, and he's got a billboard on Broadway, and he's making plenty of money, and he's not paying for those things out of his pocket, but there's a lot of give ups in that, like Jamie was saying, that there's certainly no money to be made in selling music anymore. Like that's where musicians used to make their money, especially writers. Unless you have music that's getting picked up and synced into film and this and that and blah blah blah. It's pennies compared to the dollars that it used to be. Um,
Sure.
so bands really I mean that's why concerts, to go see a show now, even for a low level band, cost you 75 $100 to go see or whatever, and a t-shirt costs you $50, because that's where they have to
Hmm.
make their money. And um, I personally don't pay that money to buy shirts and go see bands, but it kind of gripes me when people complain about it, because it's like, okay, well, when's the last time you bought someone's album? You don't pay for music anymore, but people used to spend all their extra money, especially younger, kids and young adults spend all their extra money on music. So if you're gonna bitch and complain about paying an inflated concert ticket and paying for a $50 t-shirt, well, if you want to see these bands, that's what you're going to have to pay for it. um,
Yeah.
so it's the dreams, especially when you're talking genres and stuff, the dreams of making it in music, are way 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 less than they ever were before. and it's what Jamie was talking about before about paying for things, to get on radio stations. You can, of course, buy fake streams, fake YouTube plays, and all that stuff. I don't know if you've ever seen that picture of a wall that's got like 300 cell phones on it, you know, um, and it's about basically buying all those views, because you pay and someone is just doing all these phony streams, and then you could take that and you could say, oh well, our new single has 3 million streams on it, and some club is going to say, oh well, we'll book you. Well, first of all, they don't know where those 3 million streams are from, and if you're playing in Nashville, Tennessee, and those 3 million streams came from across the pond, then who's going to show up to your show?
Right.
But that, talking about hurdles, earlier, that's been one problem for us is trying to get into decent venues that someone would, be more inclined to come see you at, a good stage, a good sound system, a good place. These people that book these places are only concerned with your Spotify numbers, and specifically Spotify. That's what they want to see. Okay, well, then again, you're saying you want to see these big Spotify numbers, but where did they come from? It doesn't mean anyone in that area is going to come to your club to see that band. Not to mention,
that is a big
what
problem.
about all the other
It is.
streaming platforms? They only look at that one, it seems. So, but you can pay for that stuff and try to BS the market. I know another guy, a friend, talking on a different level, that, his band had like 125,000 YouTube views of their video. And then you look at the other videos on their page and there's like 200.
10.
So it's obvious that you paid for that, and it's not real, So and I refuse it. I mean, it's a crapshoot, if you're going to pay for stuff, if it's going to help you or not, and how much it will help you. So,
Yep.
We're just trying to get out and play live, and build our following, continue to build our following that way, and at least we'll always have a physical product, because at least, luckily, in hard rock and metal, people still, a lot of them still want to buy a hard copy of your stuff, be it on vinyl or CD. Some people even want to buy cassettes. I don't know why they would want to buy a cassette, but they do.
They're doing it.
They're doing it. So that's a good thing, is we have that available, whether they buy it from the record label or they buy it from us at a show. We have that. So that's a leg up on some of the other bands that are around us, is, we have that.
Very, very cool. Yeah, that, and I'll just go ahead and say again that my knowledge of the industry is null and void these days, because everything has changed so drastically. But just like you said, though, like you want to buy a hard copy. I enjoy owning a hard copy of things, but I was just thinking about it yesterday. I was like, I don't even know what the point of a CD release party is anymore, unless you have streams or whatnot, because who has a CD player anymore? I mean, just kind of point in case. It's like I had giving a person that I worked with an actual physical copy of my CD, and he looked at it, he goes, I think my dad has a CD player somewhere. I'm like, give me that.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that depends on the generation as well, because I think you'll find, without going too deep into all this stuff, the Gen Z crowd actually wants tangible. So the millennial crowd, they were the ones who everything was download and you could grab it online and do all this stuff. Well, the Gen Zers are the ones who are kind of paying attention to, my dad, kind of like your example there, my dad has this, so I want to see what this is. I want to hold it here. I don't want to just go, oh, I've got it. And then it disappears a month later because it gets removed, for example.
Exactly. And see, that's what I don't like about the digital age. I mean, yeah, the streaming may be a cool thing, but you want to have an item that just in case that thing deletes itself, or
Hmm.
let's just say the worst happens and there's a catastrophe and bzz, it's gone. EMP pulse, whatever it may be. It could just be like uh you get canceled on your Spotify for whatever reason, or you get canceled on your Apple Play, or whatever it may be. I don't know. I don't have Apple, but anything can happen where you could just lose it in a blink of an eye, all that money gone, done. But if you
Yep.
have a physical copy of stuff, then you have a thing. One, it's currency if you need to sell it, and
Right.
two, you have a physical item. I have a thing now.
Well, and
Hmm.
also I think equally as important, and maybe for some more importantly than having the physical copy to play, is people want to hold something. They want to look at the lyrics. They want to look at the pictures. They want to read the credits, like I did, and
Yeah,
we all did when we were kids. I would
I
get out
loved it.
Yep.
my vinyl and I would look at it. I was interested in who wrote the song, who played on this, who produced this, who did this, who did that, and looking at the band members while listening to their music gave me that visual, you know.
Yeah,
Um, so I think that's a lot of it for people, and that's
yeah,
why it's big to especially metal, is
hmm,
people still, they like the image. They like, looking at things, knowing about things. They're active listeners. It's not like, um, you know, music that's just in the background. It's active listening. So there's more of an interest in it. Me personally, I'll be honest. I haven't bought a physical copy of anything in decades. Um, I don't even listen
That was
to
me yesterday.
yeah, I don't even listen to a lot of music, honestly. For me, when I do listen to music, it's typically the same stuff I grew up on. Um,
hmm.
and it just, Jamie's more, he likes to find new stuff. Um, I just haven't had interest in that in a long time. I creating music is about as into music as I get these days.
I kind of reflect both personalities right there. I like listening to new stuff, but when I get into writing mode, I don't want to hear anything because I don't want to be influenced by that. Because if
Yeah.
I'm writing something, I want it to come from me and not from the other musicians that I'm listening to.
Yep.
But it is nice to hear what is being played out there. That's something that you could groove along with, but it's rare these days. Even though there's a bunch of stuff out there, to find something that just connects with your soul.
I have a huge challenge that way because I have a lot of vinyl and I have a reasonable pile of CDs as well. What I've done, and I figured this out depending on where I am and what I'm doing, um, I will go look in local record stores. Like when I've done pickup dates with a band or a country artist or something, I will hunt down a record store and I'll just go look, and I kind of figure out what the musical landscape is in that area, and then I will go exact opposite.
Hmm.
So if I go to let me think of one. So if I go to Oxford, Mississippi, because I've done that, or Tupelo, you can pretty much figure there's going to be a lot of blues, a lot of kind of almost gospel type stuff, plus funk and R&B and all this, and a little kind of sprinkling of rock and metal. And I've gone into the record stores, and I, because I know pretty much what's there, I'll grab the opposite genres and I'll go look in the bins that are the $2 bin or the dollar bin or what have you. That is the stuff that really nobody's into, and I'll find something. And it may just catch my eye because of the cover, or maybe I know somebody who's on it or what have you, and I'll just grab it. And I've done that for a long time, and I find little jewels mixed in. And Greg's heard me tell this story, but pick a year. I mean, it could be 1980, could be 1960, could be anything. The record labels historically they would find a band that would suddenly make it. Like, let's use the Knack, just not to pick on them because I think they're fun, but use the Knack because it's something, everybody wants to go, my Sharona. But there were probably 9 or 10 more bands that the labels had that they went, oh, this sold. Shoom, here's 10 more bands that sound just like them, go, with subtle differences. And they'd take this whole pile of bands and they'd throw it at the wall. And the Knack stuck up there at the top. And the rest of them just kind of fell to the floor. So I go looking at the ones on the floor to see if there's something interesting in there that I missed or something that I've never heard before that tells the story but tells it differently than what's on hit radio or what was on, top 100, whatever it is. And that works really well to find new stuff. And I branch out a lot because, playing anything with records, you're going to figure it out after a while that, hey, you know what? I can just kind of grab this and this and this because nobody wants this. And they may not want it because they don't know it. They may not want it because it sucks. Or they may not want it just because they know nothing about it. So, it's just an adventure, like eating curry. It's an adventure. So sometimes you win, sometimes it sucks. But you only spent $1 or $2 to listen to this thing that somebody put their all into at one point just to try to make something happen.
Yeah. 100%. Absolutely. Yeah, I have nothing else for it, man. You said it perfectly.
Yeah. I mean, that's just what I do.
And so just like what you said about the industry too, it's just like they find something that sells and they want to make that quick buck, throw it up against the wall. And you can't blame them. It's capitalism. It is what it is, right?
It is. And that's the thing. That's one of the things that we enjoy in our differences because I know, I'm just a little older than that guy over there. Just a little bit. And the fact that we come from 2 different focal points and we can bring this together and make something cool, let's go. It's the uniqueness between the two of us, or, comparatively, if you want to do that. That's how we kind of blend this and it works.
Good deal. Well, and we've talked about it quite a bit here. The Light Side of the Apple. That's the album that you guys have been working on for quite some time. So how many songs are on the album?
How many songs, Greg?
There are 8, right?
I'm going to mess with you. Yeah. On the CD. CD.
Yeah, there are 8. There are 8 songs, but the last one is 13 minutes. So
that's like 4 songs in itself right there.
Yeah.
3. Yeah, it's 3 songs unto itself. Yeah.
Good deal. And where can people purchase the album if they're interested?
They could go to
right now, primarily from us.
Yeah, right now until the re-release is out from us. The re-release on Rox Records, which will be early, it'd probably be within the next few months when it's re-released. We're going to have some new distribution with Rox for that record specifically. So people will actually be able to buy it from just about anywhere that sells music. Best Buy, Target, Walmart, not physically in the stores, but you can buy them through their website. So you don't have to go straight to Rox Records to get it. You can go, anywhere else that people buy music. But for right now, which will be the more valuable copies of the original pressing, we have the remainders. As a matter of fact, those cardboard boxes are where they are. There's probably about 25 vinyl copies left and about 400 CDs. And that's
the record sold fast.
Oh, wow.
The record sold fast. So we got the remainder of the vinyl copies. And then we got, like Greg said, we've got a bunch of CDs because what we do is we have them on our website so they can be purchased there. We can also, if somebody wants one, they can reach out through socials, go on the Applehead Facebook page or the Applehead Instagram, and we can take care of it. We sign them. A lot of people have been asking for them signed. So we personalize them, and we send them out. no big deal. Glad to. We're always thankful that someone wants to listen to it and they care enough about it and us to grab one and tell their friends.
Very cool. And the song that we're going to be playing, the video that we're going to be playing today is the song Down.
Yep.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Go ahead, Greg.
Yeah. So that was fun for the video. Jamie's two sons recorded the video and we shot it with iPhones. And
for fun.
We really just kind of storyboarded and wrote the video as we went along, and just came up with the different ideas on the fly. And the stuff that's me singing or Jamie or I playing guitar, that's all at Jamie's house. And then the stuff that's outside is just down the road, the next town down from us in Columbia, Tennessee. And
has a great cemetery.
Yeah. So the song
we were in the cemetery.
Yeah, we were. So we
went metal. We're in the cemetery.
The song is about addiction, and so when you see the masked character, that character represents addiction. So if you know that going into the video, then you can understand the story behind the video. But yeah. So the two extras in the video, actually there are three extras. They're both of Jamie's sons and then one of his daughters as well. And the two boys filmed it, and then his son Sean edited it. He's a video editor and animator,
graphic artist.
Yeah. So cool. It's just a homemade video that cost nothing to make,
and we had a good time doing it.
Yeah, we had fun.
And that's what matters.
Fun. Yeah.
Yeah, we did have fun. There's no question.
And it looked great too.
Turned out good. Yeah, I was happy with it.
Good deal. And I guess now would be a great time to show it. What do you think?
Sure.
Go rock it.
Cool. All right. So, Jamie, you want to go ahead and announce the song and go ahead and introduce everything for us?
Sure. So what you're about to see is the song called Down from Applehead. Try that one.
Loving it.
All right.
Let's play it.
All right, let's go.
man, just perfect song. I love it. The whole
Thanks.
song just kept me in there. Kind of, I don't know. It kind of gave me like a Alice in Chains type vibe a little bit.
We've heard that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not the same thing, but definitely in the same vein. I loved it.
Cool.
Now, is a lot of your other songs going to be like that?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
We have a huge pile of stuff.
There's more. There's more variety in style on the next record.
Cool.
The Light Side, that album is very special to me. Probably just for the time of life it happened, but most of those songs were, well, just to give you a quick history. So I moved to Tennessee. Oh, it's going on 5 years, and never had recorded, digitally, and hadn't recorded music in decades. My old recording, the last recording gear that I had at home, obviously I'd go into regular studios to record records, but I had an ADAT synced to old-fashioned tape. So that was cutting edge at that time. That's the last time I bought recording equipment. But so I got here having this room in the house, because all the houses, in Tennessee are typically a little bigger than the houses in California. I had this room for a music room, so I bought a little Mac laptop and started fooling around with GarageBand. And half that record was actually recorded in GarageBand. And then
Very cool.
I upgraded my computer and upgraded to Logic. So that's what I use now is Logic. Excuse me. But most of those songs were musical jams that I just written and recorded, getting used to recording on a computer. And later where they actually turned into songs with lyrics and stuff. But Down was one of the first ones that I wrote and recorded. So when after Rocks re-released this, and I was like, okay, well, I got a platform now to release new music if I want to, and started writing lyrics for some of these songs. I went back through those musical jams that I had recorded, and Down was one of them that I really liked. So wrote lyrics to it and finished it up, and that's how that song came about.
Now we're at that point of the show that I want to talk about maybe some fun questions and some King for a Day type things. I enjoy doing this because it brings everybody out of the element,
All right.
All right, so you guys look like you're up to some shenanigans from time to time, especially you, Mr. Pinkman. What's some of the best pranks you guys have pulled on one another? I know there has to be some.
On each other?
Yeah.
We have not yet.
What?
Maybe we'll save that for any road excursions.
Save that for later.
Yeah.
You knocked me over with a feather just talking to you guys in like pre-production for this right here. It was just, I did not expect that. So,
well, honestly, all the time that we spend together has been, recording or rehearsing or playing on stage. So,
or me roasting his ass with spice,
or the occasional spicy Indian lunch.
There you go.
So there hasn't, been time for those types of things. So we need downtime to do that kind of stuff with each other.
Right.
Yeah, understood. Well, maybe here pretty soon, I could tell you probably have some of that Tennessee crud going on right now, so maybe he can get you some of that spicy stuff to burn all that out.
Oh, yeah.
It'll be a top-to-bottom cleanser, let me tell you.
I haven't been able to clear my throat for weeks. That's why I keep keep muting my mic and going,
I can fix that.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that stuff will do it to you.
Guaranteed.
So what is If you guys were king for a day and everything was in place, what would a dream gig be for you guys?
That's actually an interesting question because I don't know if we'd have the same thoughts on that. But, you know, honestly, I would like to see us on stage at Wacken.
Vakken, that's a great place. I've never
I'll
been,
go.
always wanted to go.
I'll go with that. That'd be pretty sweet. First of all, yeah, playing at a killer festival like that, but also
Yep.
for Europeans who tend to um, appreciate that type of music with great fervor,
Yep.
I couldn't have said it
Yeah,
better
yeah,
myself.
because all of our shows, there's really not a scene here, in the Nashville area, So we're gonna starting in September, Jamie, we're gonna actually get out
Yeah.
of the area. We got a couple shows booked with another local band, and we just have to get out of this area because
Conducive
it's not conducive, and
to
it's
original metal.
right.
Hmm.
It's funny because when I moved out here, I have friends that have been out here for decades and they're like, it's Nashville, everyone's so nice and supportive and this and that. I got out here, I'm like, no, they're not. It feels to me like LA in the late 80s, early 90s.
There's a
Everyone,
click.
for the most part, everyone is out for themselves. They don't give a shit about what you or what you're doing, don't want to help you. There's not a big um, scene and community here for the type of music we're playing. Um,
Right, right. There's a lot of competition, and of course,
Well, that's
competitors.
everywhere.
Yeah,
That's everywhere. The competition is, but there's actually a kind of a scene that has started up, and there's a lot that um, when you assemble like cover bands or you assemble tribute bands or just put a show together where you're going to play this one particular style and people jump in and they'll grab a song and they get on stage and they do it, and that's good. That's great. When it comes to the original stuff, it's a lot more challenging, like we talked about already. And there are some people here who love what we do and they come to every show. Some of them have been Applehead fans since the 92 record that Greg showed you.
right.
Others have picked up along the way and they just kind of jump in with us. And, the ones who are into it. So, again, to Greg's comment, there is a lot of LA that has kind of filtered its way over here. But there are people here as well who, when they like it, they're all over it. And
Hmm.
they'll be there at every show. And there's a few people that we know that come and have come to every show that we've done thus far. And, but again, looking at the overall, my thing is it's original rock metal doesn't have a huge grab, doesn't have a huge follow, doesn't have a huge thing because as we've already kind of discussed, Nashville is very focused primarily on the bar bands that do the cover songs that sell the beer. Which is great. If that's what you do and that's what you want to do you.
Hmm.
Please rock it. Keep going. When you're trying to do something outside of that, you have to be a little more creative. Hence the reason why we're stepping outside of Tennessee to do more shows.
Yeah, and I will agree that the European scene is actually a little bit more appreciative, as you said, of music,
Yep.
and I think it has to do with the fact that Americans are really spoiled because they have so many things to kind of distract them.
Oh yeah.
And I don't think that same distraction happens overseas. And if it is, I mean, I'm sure there's some kind of distraction over there, but
Yeah.
they seem to appreciate. Let's just say, like for example, if you had dated material like just 80s sound and stuff, they appreciate that more than what we would now because we're so into the new. So
Right.
there's a lot of different taste going on there. So
well, they never
Mhm.
they never gave up on it like you know Americans did.
yeah,
Um, like when grunge hit and everything.
yeah,
Uh, all those bands that suddenly were nothing. Um, a lot of them could still go play in Europe or other countries, maybe Japan or places that still,
South America.
yeah, South America.
You know.
Metal's just always been huge there, And you get
Yes.
people that once they love something, they stick with it and not just drop it when it's not the cool thing anymore. And
Yeah.
I, I mean, I don't have a problem really with stuff getting dropped at that time, just talking about that time specifically, because um, that style of music, it had really gone in a direction that really sucked for the most part, a lot of it, and
Hmm.
I liked a lot of the changes and stuff, but I don't know. I never hated on everything I loved before. I still liked what I
Mm.
liked and everything. But getting back to what you initially said, yeah, those people in other countries have always held on to what they liked, and kept some things going. So it sure would be great to go play for some of those people.
Yep.
Absolutely.
Yep.
And another fun question for you. So, what would be your dream person to open up for, or a dream band? Both of you can answer. So we'll go with Greg.
I can't say I really have one because any of the maybe dream musicians or bands for me, Applehead would not suit opening up for.
Okay.
I'm not. I mean, when it comes down to it, I'm a classic rocker that records heavier music, but that's
Okay.
not it. When it comes down to it, that's not even the type of guitarist I am, and never have
Hmm.
been. Even like when I was back in the Crucified, um, I. It's funny because one of the band members, when a record label released long after we were broken up in about 2009, released a box set of everything we'd ever recorded. They had interviewed all of us separately, and one of the band members said, I always felt like Greg was like a southern rock musician that wanted to be in a thrash metal band. And I was like, you're right, so I mean, I'm not complaining because it helps me to write and record music that's maybe a little different than what a lot of my counterparts would do, but it's also limited my ability to do what I've always wanted to do. I always wanted to be a really technical shredder, but it's not in my body, it's not in my muscles, it's not something that ever happened for me. And of course, I didn't spend endless lengths of time to try to develop that, but it's not it's not me. So for a really experienced guitar player, if they're listening to my guitar solos and stuff, they would probably say he sounds more like a classic rock guitar player trying to play metal stuff, which I'm fine with. Whatever.
Nothing wrong with that. Nothing
No,
wrong with it at all.
no.
There you go.
Jamie,
And
what about
so,
you?
it's funny that that question, because honestly, I've tried to come up with an answer. I don't have one either, and for a different set of reasons than Greg does. But you know, um, what we do is not so far out in left field that people wouldn't get it. I just don't know. I would be hard pressed. I think on a hypothetical level, we could open up for King's X and their audience would get it.
Okay.
We could open up for, I'm going to use this term and I hate this term. We could open up for some of the 80s hair bands and they would get it
Sure.
to a point. Because again, Greg and I come from two different schools of thought. I play technically. I can. I don't always get to or have to, or sometimes I don't want to, just because the song doesn't call for it.
That right there is important. What does a song call for?
Well, that's why when I go through, so, I do tracks for other people because what I'm sitting in right now is my office, but you see all this goofy stuff on the walls back here. Those are sound diffusers. I have the room dialed into right here.
It
And
sounds
I
really
could,
good.
yeah, and I could reach one of these guitars and I could sit here and I could go straight in front of me and I could record and I could track for anybody. And then I could either Dropbox it, WeTransfer it, whatever medium, and then I get Venmoed for it. So, I look for things the song calls for. The song will tell me what bass it needs.
Hmm.
If I'm pulling one of the pink ones, or just to be a wise guy, if I pull one of the other ones,
What? You have a guitar that isn't pink? What's wrong with you?
that's right. Well, this is a 1968 Rickenbacker.
All
Yeah.
right, we'll forgive you this time.
No, okay. So don't ask what else is over here. We're not doing that. But anyway, I hear the song, and the song will tell me what bass to grab. So I play for the song, and sometimes, we get off the top a little bit. We go back and forth, but that's, to me, it's to go back to your question. I really don't know
All
because
right, fair enough.
we could get into playing with certain types of bands, or people would almost categorize us
Hmm.
as a certain style or subgenre, whatever that language is, But to Greg's point, if he's going to be the classic rock, Southern rocker guy, I'm going to pull these JDs out. I'm going to pull out my thumb, and we're going to play like this for a while,
Okay.
And I've actually, on Light Side, there is a moment of that, and I'll let you figure out where it is. But there is I put a slap part in one of them, but it's not the speed metal slap or the rap rock slap stuff. It wasn't like that.
Right.
So I don't know. Dream Gig, we could play a cruise ship. We could play one of the rock cruises and probably have a great time.
That'd be good.
Because we could blend in, because our stuff would sit in the mix with what everybody else is doing. And there's something for everyone usually on those boats.
Sure. Absolutely.
Aside from cooties, viruses, and all that other stuff.
Nothing like a plague to liven you up.
Right.
What Jamie was talking about, so the song's A harmonic minor. So when I had him over,
wise guy.
I just figured out. When I had him over here recording it in the middle breakdown part, I told him, okay, so just think Slayer on this, and so he's laying it down like that, how I wanted it and stuff, and then he's like, let me try something different on it. Just be open-minded. Just check this out. And so he starts doing this slap and thumb thing, and I was like, that's cool. That's different.
There you go.
People would not expect that, So, and it fits perfectly. It fits perfectly. But I would have never in a million years thought of that part for that. So.
And that goes back to me saying before that, that's the good thing about having others chime in and being opened up to that, because somebody might have an idea that you would have never thought about in a million years, but it fits so perfectly you couldn't see it not being in there.
Yeah.
That's the beauty of collaboration.
Exactly. Yes. And I promote collaboration more because I've been in that, and I know both sides of it, but I would prefer, if I'm going to be in a band, collaboration for sure.
Sure.
All right. So I guess we could wrap it up. I'd like to end it with some solid advice. I mean, you guys have been in the scene for a while. So what is some advice that you can give to people that need it? Just to keep on going.
You go first. I'm
Me go first?
About that.
You have to think about it? Okay. Well, one of the things that I always tell people, and I do this on the end of my videos on my YouTube channel and all the other stuff, I always think about, if you're passionate about something, it'll show.
Sure.
And if you hold that passion closely, other people will see, when they're paying attention, they'll see how important it is to you, and they'll want to be part of it in some capacity, whether it be where we're on stage, for example, or somebody's on stage. Forget us. If somebody's on stage and the folks in the crowd are actually just really getting into it, they're hearing something, it moves them in some way. Yeah. So if your passion moves somebody, don't sell out and lose your passion. Don't sell your passion short or give yourself away in a variety of ways. because people will recognize passion over BS. They'll recognize passion over contrived performance. They'll dial into that essence of the thing that you're trying to do. I know it sounds so ha ha ha, but it's true, because when you're passionate about something, everybody knows.
Yes.
And it doesn't matter what it is. So if you're truly passionate about writing a song, if you're passionate about playing bass, guitar, drums, whatever, why stop? Invite and encourage people to come along with you on the journey, because then you take it together, and we're always stronger in pairs and multiples.
Yep, 100%.
Okay, G Money, it's up to you.
Well, I like what you said.
You can't
I
steal it,
think
though.
definitely if
It's pink.
if your passion for something really will outweigh everything, and I was sitting here thinking, I've watched a lot of original bands that really are not very good, and have enjoyed them a lot more than ones that are smoking talented, because that band was passionate. And number two, don't take yourself so seriously. Have fun. Just have fun. Don't be an ass. There's always someone better than you,
There's always someone worse.
Play. Yeah, there's always someone better. There's always someone worse. So play and have fun. Do the best that you can. Take it as seriously as you can, but not at the expense of, being cool and being yourself, and get along with people. Always treat the sound man as good as you can, because when it comes down to it, that's the guy that holds everything for you. So
he has the power of the suck button.
Yes,
he does. He has the power of.
Yes, he does.
You sound like dog crap. I remember
let's
funny thing.
Also,
I
let's
I
also remember
this,
the lighting guy too.
Yeah,
oh, yes, the lighting
right.
guy. I can't forget them either.
Exactly. I was playing this outdoor 4th of July event at this Indian casino in California with the last cover band I was in out there. And it's on this big, huge stage and everything. And first of all, it was funny because it was like 105 that day. So almost no
cool
one
outside.
came out. But we were playing before this other band, and we got along great with the sound guy, busting jokes, just having a good old time. He mixed us great. The other band were, they were kind of prima donna jerks and stuff. So the way he fixed them is he turned up one of the drummer's rack toms like super loud. So it'd be like dong, and left it that way the whole show. And I'm like, dude, what's up with that tom? He's like, those guys are assholes. That's what they get.
Don't be a
so
dick
much for
to the
being a
sound guy.
jackwagon.
Yeah. Uh-oh. Looked like you died there, Jamie. You went dark for a minute.
Went dark.
Poof. Well, I still came back pink, so we're fine.
Yeah.
That's right. Well, good deal, guys. I appreciate the time that you guys have spent with us here. It's been amazing. I enjoyed the music video very, very much. I think it's a wonderful song. I wish you guys all the success. Congratulate you on a drummer that works for you. And if you guys get any more members, and I hope that you find somebody that fits the piece of the puzzle 100% for you. And
Thanks,
final question, guys, where can the audience find you?
Oh, well, that's an easy one. Take your choice on socials. It's Official Applehead on Facebook, Official Applehead on Instagram, officialapplehead.com is our website. And then, of course, we have our usual other stuff floating around there. So, because I've got everything Pink Bassman, and you can find me all over the place everywhere. So, and Greg, of course, has his own set of cool little sneaky Greg things too. So it's all good.
Well, cool. Do you guys have a LinkTree?
I have one. Yes, it's on the Applehead Facebook page. You can access it there.
Very cool. Well, be sure to give me all that information too. That way I can take it and, put it up on the description box below. That way people can find you, and
Sure.
all the success to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us, bro.
Thanks,
All
Tim.
right.
Yeah.
Have a good one. Ooh. Hearing about all that spicy food, it gave me heartburn, and I was nowhere near it. I really enjoyed this band, and I hope you did too. And if you enjoyed the music video, tell the band, comment down below. I'm sure they will love to hear from you. As always, if you found value in this video, please like and subscribe. With your support, we will swing the sound guy a few extra bucks to make us sound better than the headlining act, because we're sneaky like that. And until next time, remember, the music scene starts with you.